I think that people are looking for the balance. And that I strongly believe the balance is our job to help them figure out.
Right.
Right. So we're sort of the bridge between the numbers and understanding the family dynamic and the dreams that people have.
Welcome back to Money Talks Life Lessons. I'm your co-host, Joanne Kaban, and I'm here with my fabulous business partner, Melissa McGuire.
Hello.
And we're really excited for today's episode. I'm pretty sure, Melissa, we say that every time.
Every time.
You know, we just have so much fun doing this. So today, what are we talking about, Melissa? I know it's a topic that's near and dear to your heart. And for those of you who know Melissa, you know that we're going to have a lot of fun today.
Today, we are talking about feelings.
If a song comes to anybody's mind.
Feelings. Okay, but you wouldn't believe how important feelings are to financial plan, financial decisions. Lots of people like to think that feelings don't have an impact on all of these things, but finances are not logical. They often are very emotional. And as long as we understand sort of the behavioral management behind it, we can understand, and help to make the plan move forward.
Yeah, and a lot of what we do is we do bring a lot of knowledge to the conversation around money. But even with the best laid plans, if we can't back that up emotionally, we can't see anything through. So I think this will be a really fun episode to talk about how that kind of transpires into our day-to-day conversations with clients. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
This is great. Okay, so I'll start with the first question.
Perfect.
Just because it is just so near and dear to me. So, okay. Why, even in this day and age with podcasts everywhere, information everywhere, and we're not talking about information overload, but just there's so much information at people's fingertips to help them out, why does money still feel stressful for so many people? And even why are they so stressed out when the numbers say that they're okay?
I think it's because most people are often intimidated that they might fail or they might not know enough when it comes to money. And I know we kind of talked a little bit about this in our last one of our past episodes on the top questions that most clients are afraid to ask their advisors, because this is such a sensitive topic and most people don't want to admit what they don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is quite a broad topic, right? There's so much nuance to it. And so much volume, it's kind of hard to decipher, what's real or not nowadays.
I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said when you talk about failure. Because, there might be different reasons for money stress, but it all seems to roll back into a feeling of failure. And I think because we don't often talk to our neighbors about it, or, the whole adage of if somebody else is doing the same thing as us, we feel comfortable and secure, even if it's totally the wrong thing. Money, people don't talk to each other about.
Right,
and
secretive.
So then it's really hard to feel like you're doing the right thing if you don't have anybody else backing you up with that. Even if you're all doing the wrong thing, you feel great because somebody's backing you up with that. With money, because it's so secretive, it feels like you're a failure because you can't or don't feel comfortable telling everybody else.
Yeah, so I guess you're not getting validated, right? Like you don't really know if what you're doing is the right thing, and then you also don't want to look like less than, like you don't know enough or things like that. So I guess it's one of those things where the secretiveness of around money kind of prohibits people from maybe reaching their full potential in a lot of cases. So that's where working with advisors that you trust and you can communicate openly with, I think would really help that situation.
Oh, exactly. When we're talking with people, sometimes why do you think the idea of shame shows up so quickly in conversations?
I feel like human nature is often one of competition, right? So we're always comparing ourselves to others, right? Like we're surrounded by a time when you can see people are posting on Instagram. Okay, this is so new to me. I'm just entering this realm. Check out our Instagram. But you can see people posting what they want to show people, and everything is always perfect, right? Like you see the perfect outfit, the perfect house, the perfect relationships, all these sort of things. So you kind of feel like you're not keeping up, right? So you're getting. You're not keeping up with the Joneses, right? So I think there's a lot of shame in thinking, well, I see, there's these young, YouTubers who are, jet setting around the world on private planes and things. It's funny. I talked to my son about this. He says, "Oh, Mom, when can we get this, suite on an airplane when we go to Australia?" And I say, yeah, I'm never paying for that for you, right? Because like if you want to pay for it or figure that out, great, but that's not a me thing.
Right.
It's just it's like an alternate reality almost, right? So I think people are comparing themselves to others. There's shame in that maybe they're not up to that level. So I think what we need to focus on kind of what we actually can control and what we can do with the type of life we actually want to have. Right.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Does any...
In terms of shame?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're right there. Again, I think it comes back to the non-validation part. We are receiving like a negative validation when people are just showcasing the best of everything, right? So you might have that fancy suite on the airplane on the way to Australia, but they might not talk about how they just had to increase their home equity line of credit to be able to make that happen.
So true.
Right? So people, they get the negative validation from seeing what this is. And don't see the real part of it so they can make their own decision. So I think we get caught up in that really, really quickly. And then we sort of fall into the spiral. But on the flip side of that, there's that euphoria feeling.
Right.
When you're doing it right, or you feel like you're doing it right, or you did increase that home equity line of credit so you could get that suite on the airplane and then got to put that on your Instagram, right? Like, or whatever. But like that, I think though, for sometimes the feeling of euphoria doesn't even last either, because I don't know about you, but I was always told not to brag. And, don't talk about the good things too much, because then the bad things are going to come for you. Like, you have to always have
karma.
Exactly. You have to have a balanced sort of way of going about it. So you might have like some really great feelings about how your investments are doing. You might have just come out from looking at your plan. You're feeling really super good about it. You're feeling euphoric. And then you talk to somebody who doesn't have it set up that way, and it maybe isn't working out so well. Then you're like, shoot, I have to keep it quiet. I can't showcase this,
right.
that I think I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, I guess there's just so much of comparing to others.
Yeah.
That I find that finances and financial planning, this is why we kind of hold our jobs as such a partnership with our clients, is because it's unique to every individual and every family, right? Mm-hmm. So like no two are the same, and we have to treat it with that lens, because if we're trying to put, what is it? A square peg in a circle, probably got it backwards, but oh well. It's not going to work, right? Because everyone has different desires. Like even between the two of us, like when we were looking at properties in the car on the way back to our patio shoot today, and we both have, you want land? I said, I don't want land, right? So we all have different perceptions of what we're aspiring to. And I think it's just where the help is key in sort of managing that dynamic. So I guess the moral of the story here is try not to compare your situation to others. I know it's easier said than done, but everybody's journey is unique. And that's what we're here to do, is to help map out what makes sense for you and your family situation.
Right.
So on that, I know we kind of talked about shame, comparing ourselves to others, the stress of money, even the euphoria of doing well at something. I thought we should talk a little bit about, where we're at when it comes to financial planning and our financial situations. And a lot of people ask themselves, am I actually okay? Am I good position, or am I just getting by? Like just trying to understand where they are on that spectrum, right?
Right.
So with that, what do you think people really mean when they ask us if they're okay financially? Like we get this pretty much in every prospect meeting we have. Yeah,
we get this with people who are coming back to review their plan year over year, right? Am I okay? Am I good to be okay? Right? Yeah. So, I think that people are looking for the balance, and that I strongly believe the balance is our job to help them figure out. Right. So we're sort of the bridge between the numbers and understanding the family dynamic and the dreams that people have. Right. Like it goes back to, when we first started a financial plan, asking people like, how do you want to retire? Do you want to cruise around the world for an entire year when you retire, or do you want to go camping in Westphalia? Like what is it that you're looking for? And I think that's that's important when people ask if I'm on track. They need to know they're on track for what they want, not what something else tells them they want. And I think that's where we need to find that balance.
And I guess that underlying emotion is, we can say, yeah, you're good to cruise. Yeah, you're good to get the van. But what they're really afraid of, probably that underlying tone from the emotional side is this going to get taken away from me, our dreams that we're planning for, right?
Yeah. Is it okay for me to plan this?
We're in like such a crazy time right now where there's so many geopolitical events going on around the world. Like I got a call the other day from a client who said, with everything that's going on in Iran, has anything changed in my plan? And the short answer was no. Right. I mean, we plan for those events.
Yeah.
But they felt the need, to pick up the phone and just say, am I okay?
Right.
And we were able to kind of point back to the plan and say, look, we plan for this. Like we are going to have so many different events in the lifetime of your plan. Mm-hmm. Here's why we plan conservatively.
Right. I guess further to that, why do you think that question shows up? The am I okay? Am I on track? Even in households that have solid plans. So this person that just called up and asked about, is their plan going to be okay, right? We know their plan's going to be okay. We're planning for this. But why do you think that even when we have a solid plan, people are still worried about this stuff?
It's the unknown. I think it's the uncertainty. I mean, I am guilty of this myself, of waiting for the shoe to drop, right? I said, okay, I've been working so hard to achieve different things for me and my family, and we're getting in a spot where a lot of the things that we have planned for as a family are happening. You kind of say, okay, well, when's it going to turn, and when do I need to prepare for the next crisis?
Right.
And I would bet that I'm not the only one who does that. Right. And based on what we see, we know I'm not. Right. So I think it's just a matter of, we've all had lives and things that we have gone through leading up to this point, and that all filters into the financial decisions we make. If we think about like the silent generation who went through all the wars, right, and saw a lot of their livelihood taken away from them because of the war, we see a lot of habits that have kind of transpired through all generations because of this, right? We often actually have to coach clients to spend money because it was ingrained to them. Save. So we get calls sometimes from clients who are not willing to get dental work done, even though they have millions of dollars in their investments, because they're afraid that the money's not going to be there for an emergency situation, right? And they might already be in their 80s, right? So it's one of those things like we need to help them say, look, don't go without, you've worked very hard, but we need to plan accordingly, right? Like I don't want to say that we're just, saying, take it and spend it all or gift it away. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to find a balance.
Right. And help them get through those feelings of fear to a feeling of acceptance that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So. And I guess when you grow up in scarcity, it just makes you want to be more protective. Of what you built, right?
For sure. Yeah. We talked a lot about comparison. Would you say that comparison is sort of a source for increased anxiety when it comes to, well, I guess pretty much anything, but when it comes to money in terms of what we do?
Oh, of course. I think so. Like, I mean, I get asked this question by quite a few clients on a regular basis where they will say, so like, for my age, how do I compare to like other people my age? Like, do I have more money? Do I have too little? Like, should I be saving more? Where am I at?
Right.
And do you know what my answer is to those people?
What?
My answer usually is, well, it's really about what you're trying to achieve, right? Because we can't compare apples and oranges.
Right.
We have some people who save $10,000 a month because they want to have $20,000 a month in retirement and income. And then we have some families who aspire to only spend $3,000 a month in retirement.
Right.
And they believe in doing things more now while they're working than having to be on that first class cruise every year after year in retirement, right? So there's just different priorities. Neither is right or wrong. It's just, what do you want to get out of your lifestyle?
Right. It's like those people that call up and say, hey, I was just talking to my friend who might also be our client. And my friend had this rate of return, but I only had this rate of return.
Exactly.
Like, why? That's always a a super loaded question when that comes up, but it is all about, well, let's talk about what you can withstand and what you're looking to achieve.
Right.
And then leave that whole other part alone. Because it's important to note we don't get into the comparison part, right? We don't compare. We work with exactly what our clients need at that moment in terms of the balance that they're looking for from here and now. Understanding, of course, we know what's out and about, what other people are looking for.
Yeah, and we have to outweigh the risk. Like some people just are not willing to take on the extra risk that's needed. And there's risk on both sides, right? Like when we talk about risk, it's also the risk that your money's not going to earn enough to provide the type of income you want. But there's also the risk that we get to know our clients pretty well, that we know if they were in too much equities, too much stocks, like a lot of these tech stocks right now are fluctuating huge, even though those clients maybe would have made a ton of money over these past 2 years in the tech stocks, they couldn't tolerate the 15% drop now.
Right.
Because all of a sudden that would make them want to completely rebalance their portfolio, because emotionally they cannot withstand that type of fluctuation.
Right.
So it's just having that open, candid conversation with them. And sometimes it is a matter of saying like, look, we can't always have our cake and eat it too, right? We have to have a balance.
Right. It seems to be a theme for us, fear and balance today. And comparison. All right, let's talk about guilt. Guilt and money seem to go hand in hand for some people. Some people truly don't have any guilt when it comes to their money, and they just spend indiscriminately on things for whatever it is that they're looking for, and that's great. But I'm going to focus on the people who do feel guilty about spending. So sometimes, I would think that spending triggers guilt, even if it's planned. And I can say for planning a vacation that we're doing for this upcoming summer, we're preparing to buy our flights now, or we've already bought one and we're trying to buy the flight home. And that's hard for us because the flight home is much more expensive than the flight there. And it's hard for us to do it. We're prepping ourselves. We've been saving for it. We know what we're going to spend on it, but we just can't hit the button yet.
Are you saying we're going to be like remote podcasting from here on out because you're not actually going to make it back? Or
they won't let us in if we don't have a flight home. But I can totally speak to this, right?
Right, yeah.
Why do you think spending triggers guilt, even if it's planned?
Well, I think it comes down to the person, because like I'm the other side of that. Like I don't, like if I have it planned, I don't feel guilt over it because I'm like, no, I've had a plan. I'm seeing that through. So I think it really comes to like your upbringing in a lot of situations and kind of how you saw money. Right. Just based from what I've observed, like happy for you to challenge me on that. But for me, there's the people who grew up like with maybe like with a little bit more scarcity. And so they have a harder time spending, maybe because that was embedded in them from their parents. Right. And in my situation, like I'm of the mentality, I'm such an obsessive planner that like I kind of keep a budget always. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put X amount away. Like my husband's saving for a new guitar. We could in theory go and buy it from our savings accounts, but we don't. We say no. Like he wants to save up for this particular one, so we're putting $100 a month away. And when it comes time for him to buy it, he's going to buy it, and I'm not going to think twice about it. Right. So for me, I don't feel a lot of guilt, but there is people based on the upbringing, kind of what was instilled with them from their parents. It's like, don't spend on yourself. This is for other other people, or you need to put it away for a rainy day fund, or if emergency happens, right? Like spending any type of what would be more like a variable fun expense is guilt ridden. So I don't know, what's your take on that?
I was thinking, how I've talked about this before on previous podcasts about how you're going to laugh, how my grandma taught me to buy a chocolate bar.
I love this story.
So for our listeners who are just joining us, when I was younger, my grandma taught me about the value of money by buying a chocolate bar. And we'd say, okay, well, the chocolate bar is $1, but this chocolate bar is going to get us 100 grams, but this other chocolate bar that is also $1 is only going to give you 80 grams, which is the better deal, right? So that is, I tell Joanne, we laugh about it all the time, but it is instilled in my body. I have taught my children this. I still look for this when I'm trying to figure out what's the best deal for buying something. for me, I think that's it.
Yeah.
For me, why I can't buy the flight yet. And I keep scrolling through, trying to find a cheaper flight, trying to do whatever, because it is so much more expensive. Buying the flight to our destination was great. It was a super deal. I was really happy to do it. Boom, we were saving for it. We just bought the flight. The way home is more expensive. I'm positive there's something cheaper out there. And if I don't get it, I will feel like I made the wrong choice.
Right.
And I didn't buy the right size chocolate bar. Right.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think for
huge.
me, that's my big deal in terms of why sometimes I feel like sometimes the guilt sort of sets in, even if it's something I know I'm going to buy. I've been saving. I'm ready to go. I just can't do it yet.
Right. I know, it's strange. I think it's those lessons that we learn growing up, and it kind of transpires into us as adults, right? And right or wrong, it's just hard to sometimes act in the most efficient manner when it comes to financial planning.
Right.
If there's certain traits that we have that kind of hold us back.
Right. Like if we think about that buying guilt in terms of our day-to-day decisions, this is where we really do a good job, I think, with our clients in figuring out exactly where it is that people are going to be comfortable to be. Because you could see people sometimes, that they want so badly to buy that tech stock, right? So badly they want to be that person that is willing to do the thing that is of a higher risk because they think that reward is going to be better, right? So badly we can tell they want to, but we can see very clearly that they wouldn't be able to do that, right? And then it's a matter of figuring out and alleviating the guilt to allow them to not have to wish they could do that and actually go with what is the one that would feel the best for them.
Melissa has a really great talking point on my paper here that I'm going to read because I didn't come up with this myself. So, a healthy plan includes permission. I really, really like that because, like, giving ourselves permission to spend money. Yeah, I just
or
think
not. Right.
Or not. Or say no.
Yeah.
I think it goes both ways. Like, I think that's huge. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about clients not wanting to spend money because of, that scarcity mindset. I've had one of my clients over these last 15 years, one that saved really hard and, retired at 65, but never took vacation, never did anything that way because they wanted to save the maximum money for their retirement. And unfortunately, he ended up passing away 3 months after he retired. So he never got to do any of those life experiences while he was working because he said, no, when I retire, I'm going to do it when I retire. So, and I hear even a lot of our peers even sometimes encourage clients, I guess this could be a little polarizing, but I'm going to say it, encourage clients to just keep saving the money and never encourage them to spend some of that savings, if it makes sense. There's my compliance air quotes again. But it's stories like this that really taught me that lesson early on in my career, that we need that balance.
Right.
Maybe we're going to have to name this episode Balance. I don't know. I keep saying that word.
Balance the feelings.
Yeah.
We have to have feelings in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know the other part, like in terms of the permission side? I don't know what it was like for you growing up, but for a lot of the stuff that I heard growing up always was, we can't afford it. I can't afford it. Whatever, blah, 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 afford it. That was always the tagline, right? So even now, if someone says, I can't afford it, the connotation is negative right away, right? But I think it's just a terminology, because when we're telling people that a healthy plan includes permission, that includes the choice to not be able to afford the thing.
Exactly.
Right? So I switch things. I don't ever say afford it. If I'm like working with it like you, we budget out all of our stuff. We save for our different things. And if I've saved all my money for my trip and then I can't air quote afford to go, buy a brand new watch that's $400, well, then whatever, I'm choosing to not buy the watch.
Huge.
Right? I'm choosing it. It's not I can't afford it. I'm making a choice for a plan that I have. Right. Yeah. And that, I think that is the permission part of a healthy plan has permission. It allows you to be like, this is my choice. I am choosing this right now instead of I'm choosing this part of my plan over this immediate need.
Our priorities.
Exactly.
Right. Like maybe, I've had this happen to me before where someone asked me to go on a vacation, like at a whim type of thing. Like, do you want to go to this place like where it would cost, $5,000? And I said, I can't afford it. right? But it's not because I couldn't afford it. Like I do have the savings, but those savings are not earmarked for that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's just being able to understand what your plan is and have that permission to be like, no, this is not my priority right now and I can't do it all.
Right. It's funny. My sister is that one for me. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Let's go here. Let's go to Kelowna. I just booked camping here. Let's come with us or whatever.
You're the no sister.
I always say, yeah, that's great. Sounds great. Yeah, let's totally do it. It's great. Let's go. And she's like, you always say no though, right? Like, because she's like, every time I say, that sounds awesome, she knows it's a no.
Yeah.
I have to be careful though. I once got caught into buying half a case of very expensive wine because I didn't actually articulate the word no. And so
I think I might have bought some of those bottles from you.
I'm like, ooh, somehow it was an expensive lesson.
So there's so much knowledge out there nowadays. Like you can open up your phone or Instagram, or Melissa's showed me TikTok now, like that you could have a plethora of information when it comes to finances. And even if you truly know what to do based on, everything you've read, you've learned, why do some people still not actually pull the trigger and do it, right? So I thought maybe it'd be good to ask, how does, fear, we were talking about fear and that emotion, show up as procrastination or avoidance, especially when it comes to finances?
Well, I think my story about my flight is perfect for this one because it's a fear of not getting the best deal that's preventing me from actually doing anything, right? So fear leads to procrastination. We all know that. And then indecision. But I think that what people don't realize, so let's say you have like something that you're looking at, you've got some options, right? Option 1 is to do one thing. Option 2 is to do the other thing, right? People forget that there's a third option. And that third option is to do nothing, right? And that's the killer for the plan every time, but they don't realize that that's a choice they're making. They think, and that's where the fear comes in, right? So option 1 might be good, but they might be so worried that they're not going to make the right decision. They're going to look to option 2, and then they get lost between the two and then just back out entirely because they can't make a decision, not understanding that indecision is a decision of its own. Right?
And this is where we see so many people get caught up on self-directed investing.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of the biggest downfall we see when clients end up coming into our office is because they've been doing self-directed. It was great while the times were good, but as soon as we have a bump or some sort of change in the markets, they can sometimes have indecision, or they make too quick or a rash of a decision and sell everything to cash at the worst possible time, and then they get paralyzed by fear because the markets have already recovered or started recovering and they don't know when to get back in the market, and it just becomes like a whole downward spiral from there, right?
Well, exactly. Well, that's really what fear and anxiety is just worrying yourself into a corner until you finally make any decision, and it's probably the wrong one by the time you get to it. Right. And then that's where the cycle just snowballs from there.
Perpetuates from there.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where, having somebody that you can trust and confide in, whether that be, a partner or an advisor like ourselves, be able to help alleviate a lot of that for you. Like, I still think back to COVID, like that happened so quickly when everything kind of turned on its head. It was March. I remember I was on vacation.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I spent the majority of that vacation on the phone.
With me.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we were just trying to navigate clients' emotions. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, all of our clients recouped any losses that they had and were actually in the positive. So, for us, it was hand-holding them through that to make sure that they didn't do something that was going to really turn their plan upside down.
Right. Support creates confidence, right?
Love that.
Yeah. And that's if we go back to the very beginning of our conversation, people don't talk to each other about money. They don't have the confidence of that support unless they have somebody directly. They have a financial planner, or they have somebody else that they're maybe a group of friends that all decide they're going to do the thing. There's not very many groups of friends that do the things, right? But it's once you have the support, then you can feel more confident about stuff.
Exactly. And I guess the key is trying to make progress and not to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
That's hard for a lot of us.
I always claim that I'm Mary Poppins. You know, I'm perfectly imperfect.
There you go.
So let's talk about money and relationships. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Why do you think money conversations can escalate so quickly with partners? And I might add a caveat on here, like finance is usually one of the leading causes of divorce.
Yeah. I think it's the values associated with, or not values, but the values associated with money. So my husband and I have a story for this. Like my husband and I, so the day that I brought my husband to meet my parents was the same day I told him what I had owing for student loans. And I was like, okay, you're going to meet my parents. And now I have to tell you about this. And let's see what happens. Unfortunately, 20 years later, we're still married. So that's great. But he was brought up with totally different beliefs about money. Right. So in our early years of our relationship, it was really tricky for us to really figure out the money and understand the stuff because we didn't understand where each other was coming from.
Huge.
And we did this exercise that I had read in a book somewhere, and it was about identifying what money meant to us. And so, like for me, having all my bills paid, even if it meant I had $0 in the bank, but having all my bills paid meant freedom and security. To him, he did not feel comfortable or secure until he had a balance in his account, and he didn't care if he owed people money, right? Because he just wanted that money. He wanted to see it every day. That was a huge thing for us to work through in our early years of our relationship because we had completely different outlooks on it. People used to say my husband couldn't get off his wallet when he was like younger, and it wasn't that. He just couldn't bear to not have that form of security,
right.
Which really wasn't security because there was debt in the background, but it just felt better to him. So I think that is when people can't figure out together what values money brings to them, as opposed to just what it looks like in their bank account, but what that value means to them, then it's tough to get on the same track, and it's tough to really work out what you're looking for in terms of money. And I think that's why it can escalate so quickly, because you throw that fear into the background, you throw all of our family dynamics and how we were raised with that in the background, and then how we have individually internalized all of that. It's hard to get on the same page.
And like, I think a lot of times, you know, couples will argue, well, you should be spending or saving this amount of money. Like I need to have this bank balance. And then you're saying, well, I need to pay off the debt, right? So it's two different, both having like your own values and principles. But when you're arguing about it, what do you really think that argument actually means? Like the underlying.
It's the values and the principles.
Yeah.
You're each of you are trying to bring forth what's most important to you, the value, the principle, what that means to you, and it's manifesting as money. But it's difficult for people to get below it to that type of understanding.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. So I think just to come off of what you were talking about is couples maybe not understanding the underlying values or the reasoning of why you think this way. I think being able to align your values with your partner or whoever you're managing your money with is going to matter more than a full-on agreement, right? So one of the rules that we have in our house is that if it's over $100, we always have to check with each other. I guess we're probably lifting that now because, I mean, everything's more expensive nowadays. But that was it forever, right? That we have to, and I think you're similar to that.
Ours was $50 for the longest time.
Yeah. So that we just check in, right? We were at an event recently, and I was bidding on a silent auction. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I really want to go to the spa. But I was like, I better double check before I put my name down at the next. Because, you know, me and her were going back and forth. And I was like, I really want to go to Tinamera. But anyhow, she beat me. I'm assuming. But regardless, I was texting Jonathan and saying, like, look, like, are we cool, right? Even though I know we have the money for it and I had a budget set aside, it's just that was our agreement.
Right.
And our alignment on things, right? So I think it just matters to have that communication.
Right. I remember that event that we were at. Doug and I were together looking at all these silent auction things. And we were, like, getting ready to start bidding on one. It wasn't Tinamera. It was in Tofino. And we were going to do it. And then we're like, wait a second. When are we going to do that? wait a second, we don't have this, or we're not going to do this, or we don't have any kids in the house. Why are we going away? And what are we going to do with the dogs? And we sat there having this whole conversation, blocking the silent auction table so we could bid, until we then chose not to bid and walked away.
We're so used to talking about money as a number, right? But life listens to our fear, to our values, to our past experiences. So let's talk a little bit about what healthy money actually looks like. Can you elaborate on that for us?
So stunned about the profoundness of what you just said. Okay, healthy money. Healthy money does not feel like fear. It does not feel like guilt. It feels like a balance of needs and wants and your future and your current self. I mean, the goal, I think, for healthy money isn't to have it all figured out, because, that's not possible. We could do the best we can in terms of plans. And as you noted before, we always plan conservatively. So when the things happen, the plan is still okay to tick along. But it's not so much about having it all sort of understood and figured out. It is being supported while you figure it out.
So I guess it's just changing the way we have a relationship with money, right? It's sort of a means to an end, but not really. But it's not everything.
It's not everything. And it would be amazing if everybody could sit down and write out what money means to them. And I think once everybody had that understanding, it would be a whole different world that we lived in. But it's a difficult thing to do.
I think, in closing, a key thing to remember is that you don't have to do this alone. That's exactly why we're here. We talked about, how emotions can sometimes overtake us when we're feeling uncomfortable. We feel fear, we feel guilt, we feel shame, we feel euphoria, right? We have all these emotions. And at the end of the day, that's what financial advisors are there for. We're there, as long as you have someone you can trust in your corner, like what we do with our clients is to help, give you that permission to say no, or give you that permission to say yes, go on that extra trip, right? So make sure that you talk to someone that you feel comfortable with, because that we can help with that journey and take some of that load off you. You don't need to worry about all these things. Let us help you navigate through that.
Yeah. Support in these situations, support from a planner, not only builds confidence, but it brings about balance. Thanks so much for listening and watching our episode about feelings as it comes to money management. I really hope that we maybe have brought some clarity and help in understanding what support and balance can bring to a financial plan.
As always, you can follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, check out our new Instagram, and for all things Isle Wealth, please visit our website, islewealth.ca.
Thanks so much for listening and watching.
Bye for now.
Corporate disclaimer. This podcast has been prepared by and with expressed opinions of Joanne Kaban and Melissa McGuire, and are not necessarily the opinions of Raymond James Ltd, RJL. Statistics, data, and other information presented are from sources RJL believes to be reliable, but their accuracy cannot be guaranteed. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of securities. Investors considering any investment should consult their investment advisor to ensure that it is suitable for the investor's circumstances and risk tolerance before making an investment decision. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Information provided in this podcast is general in nature and should not be construed as providing legal, accounting, and/or tax advice. Should viewers have any specific questions and/or issues in these areas, please consult a legal, tax, and/or accounting advisor. RJL is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund. Raymond James USA LTD advisors may only conduct business with residents of the states and or jurisdictions in which they are properly registered. Raymond James USA Limited is a member of FINRA and SIPC. We hope you enjoyed the podcast, and for more information, please visit islewealth.ca.